So Phil, welcome back to Frightfest. You were here. Well, not technically here. We were in Shepherd's Bush with your first film, Cruel Summer. How does it feel to be back?
It feels amazing, and as you say, it's the first time I'm actually at Frightfest, the real Frightfest. So it's amazing to be here at Leicester Square finally.
I mean, I guess obviously last time it was a piece of fiction, which is still not over, that piece of fiction. But obviously this time it's a documentary. What made you switch from fiction to fact?
It all goes back to my love of horror. I mean, I'm a lifelong horror fan, and during lockdown, my day job is making supplements for Blu-ray labels, so I had that going, but at the same time I still wanted to make something a bit bigger, and it was a perfect opportunity to go into long form again. And so, yeah, switching from fiction to documentary was pretty easy, seeing as the day job is documentary work essentially, so it seemed like a logical next step, but I am interested in documentary and fiction going forward, so expect me to flip and flop between the two.
And obviously, the documentary, the fan footage phenomenon, obviously deals with fan footage, which I guess to a lot of people is almost seen like the ugly sister of the horror world. What made you guys decide that you wanted to tackle this subject and show that it's not that bad?
So you're right, it is the ugly stepsister, but for me, it's this generation's slasher film. So like in the 80s, like everyone was making slasher films, good and bad. Audiences loved them, critics hated them. And that parallel just really captivated me because they are very much cousins, like cinematic cousins. So it's like people love 80s horror, the slashers and all that stuff, but for the most part, a lot of them decry and moan about found footage. So hopefully this will make them see that they are kind of related, and hopefully they reappraise the whole subgenre.
And I mean, obviously, the bulk of this was made, during pandemic, and you're going cross country, cross time zones. That must have been a logistical nightmare for you guys to get everyone together.
Yes, it was, but luckily, because no one was doing anything, time frames were wide open. So it was like a blessing and a curse. Like, yes, we had to find people from all over the world, but time slots were quite open. So yeah, once they were on board, getting a time slot was very easy. But yeah, sourcing crew during a pandemic is very difficult.
And I mean, you guys chart the sort of the history from the Bram Stoker's Dracula. I guess arguably in the film the first instance of this sort of format, all the way through to Rob Savage's Host, and you've got so many people that cover the scope of that journey. Was there anybody that you were particularly like, oh my God, I can't believe that these guys are willing to talk to us about their movie?
Yeah, so it was getting Oren Peli, because he's elusive, he's left the industry basically, so it's like, how do you get someone who's like boycotted the industry? He's not a filmmaker anymore, he doesn't want to make films anymore, so getting him was a big deal, and he was actually the last interview we actually managed to secure. So when it came through, it was just like, thank you. So we got the holy trifecta, we got Ruggiero, we got Ed from Blair Witch, and then finally Oren to get the holy trinity.
I mean, it must have been, so much fun. So, listening to what these guys had to say. So, I mean, I'm guessing that, there was much more material that you had. So, I guess editing this must have been an absolute nightmare as well.
Yep. So every interview tended to last about 2 or 3 hours. So trying to condense, we had like 30 filmmakers, and trying to condense all of that footage down into like a 100-minute film was incredibly hard. So there's stuff that we really wanted in there that we had to lose. There's interviewees that we had to cut just because there was not enough room for it all, really. So that was very hard, and yeah, that took the majority of the entire time. But luckily, because of the pandemic, we had all that time.
And I mean, are you kind of hoping that, with you having all this other footage, that there might be some way to continue it, or do some big deluxe Blu-ray with a lot more footage on it?
Well, the film we've very nearly signed a deal with a distributor. I can't say yet because it's all concluded, but if they're open to it, there's enough footage for like 3 Blu-rays for sure.
And obviously, you've got a lot of fingers in a lot of pies. You do documentary work, you do fiction work, you do distribution. What's next for you?
It's a good question. I'm focusing a lot on producing now because I want to shed light for new voices. So yeah, I'm very much trying to get more films out there by other directors and discovered directors, be it as a producer or as a distributor, getting films out there that maybe overlooked in a way, But yeah, that's my goal right now, is discovering new talent.
And I mean, the film has it's had its premiere now. What was the reaction?
It's been positive so far, and we were a bit cautious because found footage films aren't exactly the most desirable of films, but so far it's been great. So hopefully that continues.
My final question is, next up you're taking it to Texas, right? It's
Yes. So we are in Fantastic Fest, but I don't think we can go there because the US aren't letting UK people in. But hot tip for you, exclusive, Citrus in October. So that'll be the next sort of step in this journey.